Thanks for joining in today's video, ladies and gents. I'm excited for another opportunity to talk to you, and today I want to focus on how to make your job application stand out. In previous videos, I've talked about ways in which you can succeed in your job interview. I've talked about job interview do's and don'ts. I've talked about how to just succeed even at the interview phase, and I've given you wonderful tips. But today I thought I'd come back and focus on how you can make your job application stand out. When I talk about a job application, I'm talking about starting all the way from your CV and all the way to the processes that lead up to the interview, be it the first interview and the second interview. And so you don't want to miss today's video. Stick around and we will talk about some ways you can make your job application stand out. For every job advertised in a given company, there are thousands of people who are applying, and you don't want your application to end up in the dustbin. You want your application to at least be read through, because mind you that the employers, they have so many people, sometimes they're almost always overwhelmed with the number of applicants they get, and if your application doesn't stand out, or if it doesn't have something in it that invites someone to pick it up and read, then it's just gonna end up in the bin. And so here are some ways you can make your job application stand out. First thing is that you have to have a recognizable name. You have to become a recognizable name, and this is one of the most effective ways to stand out. Get to know someone at the company. Ask them to keep you up to date with the things that the company is doing. Not really leaking inside secrets, but just giving you updates of new things that are happening that you can then highlight in your application and show the interviewer that you are someone who is going to bring in so much more than just, someone seeking to build a career, that you're going to participate in the growth of the company. So seek ways to know the social media of these organizations. We're in a social media era, so you can stick around the social media, ask thoughtful questions. You can find ways to get engaged with the company. Let them know you up front, such that when you step in there, someone in the interview panel should be able to recognize your name. And you can become a recognizable name also by the way you are building up your reputation and making it just impossible for people not to know you in your community. Be around people who are influential, people who are creating an impact in the community. Participate in change making in your community. That's one of the ways to build a recognizable name. And I just want to encourage you to read the company's website, and if there is a comment section, leave a comment there, and just be thoughtful in your comments and in your questions that you ask, either online on social media or on the website. Just be thoughtful, and if there is an opportunity to volunteer in this company, why not try it? If it's your dream to work in this company one day, you can obviously take up a volunteer position in this company. You're building a recognizable name such that when that dream job comes up, or it becomes available, or a position is opened, you become someone that can easily be picked up to fill that position and meet so many applicants who are going to be vying for that position. And so the question really is, do you know someone who knows someone? It's always worth asking for an introduction. You can always ask to be introduced to many more people in the organization that you're seeking to work for, in a way that you know someone who can then lead you to know someone, and you can build a network even in an organization prior to joining that organization. So that's point number one. Let's go in and talk about the second thing, how you can stand out in your job application. You have to make your application easy to read. Be as down to earth as possible. Be thoughtful in the way you want to present your application from the start to the finish. So often some employers or interviewers will glance through your application, and they're not really at that time seeking to just be spending a lot of time in it. And if they don't find your application appealing enough, mind you, it's not going to be read a second time. So you want to be very effective in the way you present your application. You want to make sure that it's your your application is not tossed away. You want to make sure that you are making important points and making them in an easy to read and understand manner, and make sure that your information is presentable in your application, so in a way that someone who is reading that finds it interesting and also finds it concise and attractive. So break things down. Use short sentences and short paragraphs. You don't want to be too long in your application. You don't want to make long sentences and complicated sentences. Stick with simple sentences, and don't be afraid to use subheadings and bullet points in your application, especially in your CV and cover letter, because these are things that are going to just make it so easy for someone who is looking for vital information in your application to find it. So use words that a reader who's scanning through your application can easily identify, words that have specific meaning to the position. So you want to look at the job specification and make sure that you are using language that is tying with the job specification and the job description. Try to avoid complicated words, jargons, avoid those, and just make sure that your application is simple to read. Number 3, use what Bright Networkers described as the STAR technique, and it's simply how you want to present the situations you've been in the past, the tasks you've accomplished in the past, the actions you've performed in the past, and the results you've accomplished in the past. So the STAR technique is the way to keep answers concise and informative, and this is especially when giving like a real life example that demonstrate your skill. You can use the STAR technique. So you can use, as I already said, a situation. So for instance, a job that you had carried out in the past. You can also talk about a course that you had undertaken in the past, and you can look at this as a situation. In that situation, in that job, or in that experience, how did you perform? And you can present that on that situation. The task is what you needed to do in a particular situation. What are the tasks that you performed? What are the actions, the steps that you took to perform that duty? And actions is how you did it, so you can also be able to explain how you did something in a very concise way, be it in your CV, be it in a job interview, face-to-face interview, or even phone interviews, which are becoming very popular today, especially with the pandemic. And also you can talk about your results. How did all of these turn out into results? How did you realize the results that you expected to see? And you can talk about this with numbers and be as descriptive as possible when you talk about results. So the 4th way how you can stand out in your job application is that you want to take time to tailor your application. When you're finding job hunting a struggle, it can be tempting to just go for volume, maybe having one application that you then just send to so many organizations or companies. But for every position you're applying, make sure that you can tailor your application. Unfortunately, attaching a generic CV or a resume or cover letter, or copying and pasting set answers or given answers into an online application is unlikely to make a good impression. So you have to find a way to make it personal, adaptable, and also make it impressive. So take your time and follow the job specifications point by point, so that you can understand what that job is going to entail, and so that you can find a way to communicate and mainstream those specifications in your answers. So this is going to take time, but you would find out at the end that is worthwhile. So spend time and tailor your application, make it stand out. And the 5th way to make your application stand out is that you can develop an online presence. Develop a reputable online presence. Be someone who has a great following on social media, and this takes time. Be someone who is putting himself out there or herself out there, and just making comments in the public sphere. I'm not just talking about becoming political, but I'm talking about building a reputation in your own industry or in the line of career you want to build. You can become someone who is thoughtful and who understand the things that are going on, and who can prove in maybe through social media you understand the trends, and that you are abreast with things that are going on in your industry. So build a social media presence such that when you go to apply for this job, you can even give links to your social media. Social media is a great way to already demonstrate some of the things you're doing, and if your employer can go to social media and find good things there about you, that's gonna make you stand out. And I've seen it happen in my life where I go for an interview, and before, just after the first phase of the interview, I see someone who from that organization has viewed my LinkedIn page. So you want to make sure you have a great LinkedIn profile, you have a great Twitter page, and also make sure that you have a Facebook page, that you are sharing your ideas and that you are becoming thoughtful in the way you share those ideas. So develop an online presence, because we live in a digital age, and companies are almost always going to be looking for someone who is digitally abreast and up to date with the trends and everything happening in the digital world. Number 6, how you can make your job application stand out is that you have to make good use of your hobbies and your interest to demonstrate your good qualities, that you have good qualities and that you can have a great work-life balance. It's gonna make you stand out when people find out that you are interesting. You're not a boring person to stick around, that you are a human being who has hobbies and who have interests apart from just that particular career. Of course, you've demonstrated that you are a great candidate, you're a great fit for the position. Also show that you are someone who is all round, who has hobbies and interests. And you should always be truthful, be selective as well. So don't just lie to say, oh, I love playing tennis, and when you are eventually hired, you cannot even be able to swing a bat. So make sure that you are truthful when you are talking about your hobbies, and of course find a way to mainstream your interest to your job, because sometimes these can go side by side. So don't kind of separate these, and you need to check the company's website and see what they recently participated in, maybe charity, or it could be just doing some community engagement, because companies, they do also have interest. So see how you can tie your interest to the interest of the company, and make sure that you stand out effectively in this way. And it's worthwhile to talk about your interest. And then the last thing today, how you can make your job application stand out, is that make sure you have perfect spelling and grammar. It is absolutely important that your grammar is flawless, your spellings are impeccable, and that you have cut your T's and you've dotted your I's. Make sure that you proofread your application. It is very important. I cannot overemphasize this point. Make sure that you read your application, be it your CV, resume, be it your cover letter, or any other materials you're taking to the job interview. Make sure that they are written in great grammar without errors. There's no room for error when you're applying for these jobs. They expect that you've spent time with your CV, with your application, you've interacted with your application, and that is an opportunity to see how strong you are and how disciplined you are to eliminate errors by spending time to edit your application. And then if it's going to help you get someone to proofread your application for you, you can go the extra mile of also using online proofreading platforms or softwares to edit your application. I find Grammarly very important and very useful to me, at least so I use it when I write my emails, when I write my essays, when I update my CV. I make sure that I'm putting it in Grammarly and updating this, so that I make sure that I've eliminated that bad grammar or wrong spellings and all of that, and make sure that you read through it over and over and over again to eliminate the errors. And when you've done all of these things, just make sure that you package everything well, because packaging is important. and make sure that you are finding a way to use these materials that you have effectively. And of course, when you've done all of these things, you will stand out. Naturally, you will stand out. You will stand out effectively, and you'll be noticed by the interviewer, and you are going to get hired because you've not just demonstrated your skills. Of course, many people applying for that job, they have skills, but you have demonstrated that you are different from others, and the prospective employer can see through your application that indeed you stand out from others, and they're going to hire you, or at least your application will make it to the next level and not just get tossed out after the first screening. And thanks for watching today's video. If you found this to be very informative and educative, make sure to let us know what you think by commenting on this video, like it and share it, and let other people know what's going on. Spread the word, in short. And thanks so much. May God bless you, and see you again some other time.